Okay, first question. How many notes are in a scale, not including the octave? So I think they could have worded this a little bit better. Remember to pause it right here and try to answer it. If you were to just say a diatonic scale, it might have been a better way to go, because you might be talking about other types of scales. But let's just take a regular major scale. Okay, not including the octave, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes in the octave. So the answer is 7. How many notes are in the chromatic scale, not including the octave? So first you need to know what chromatic means. That helps. Okay, let's count up just a single string. Ready? E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp A sharp B, C, C sharp D, D sharp, and then you have the octave E. So the answer would be 12. Remember, chromatic just means you're climbing a half step or you're descending a half step, so you're going chromatically across the notes. The first note of a scale or a chord is called what? So if you're playing, for example, this chord, what would this note be called? It's called the root note. I used to call it the root note. Root note, it's the Minnesota in me, I think. But the root note is the answer. So the beginning of the chord or the scale. All right, question number 4. What are the notes in a minor pentatonic scale? A minor, they say. Okay, so if we just played that, you guys might know it with that shape, or maybe you know it somewhere else. You know, you could play A minor pentatonic in 5 different places. But what we're going to do is we're going to look at it right here. So we start with A, C, D, E, and G. 5 notes, penta, so that's why. What are the notes in an A blues scale? Okay, so here's the secret to this one. Just play the minor pentatonic that we just did, but add the flatted fifth interval. A, C, D, E flat, E, G. That's your blues scale. The distance between two notes is called an interval. So that was a fifth interval. Third, minor third. So get to know those for sure. What note is a major third higher than F sharp? So let's go to F sharp right here. Go to a major third interval. Be sure you say A sharp. That's the answer. Don't say B flat, because we're talking thirds. So F, G, A. It has to be some sort of A to be considered the third. What is another name for that note? It's one of those funny things where I already gave you the answer. B flat, but in the context that we were just asked before, do not say B flat. If you have two notes that are a major third apart, and you lower the higher note down half a step, what is that called? I got a quick giving away these answers. So we have A, let's go a major third above it, C sharp. If you lower the C sharp back half a step, it's just C. Now it's a minor third interval. Sounds like a whole lot of love. What is the relative minor of B flat major? So let's go to B flat major. Let's play the chord. Go ahead and answer that. Quick way to find the relative minor to anything is just to go back 3 frets. 1, 2, 3, G minor. Finding relative minors that way is just one way. You could also go up the major scale and just get to the 6th tone and you get the same answer. Name in order the 7 modes. I was surprised this was on a level 1 because a lot of people who figure that they're level 1 don't know all the names to the modes because it can be a little bit tricky. So it would be Aeolian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and then Locrian. So that's all 7 modes in order. Relative to the A major scale, the Dorian mode begins on what note? So if you're playing A major, that's just one way to do it. Where would you start to create the Dorian mode? Well, because of the last answer, you knew Dorian's the 2nd mode, so we just start on the next note of the A major scale, which is B, and you just continue up that same scale. B, C sharp, D, and so on. Okay, that would be B Dorian. So using that logic, the next question is, the F sharp Dorian mode is derived from what major scale? It's just kind of a way of flip-flopping what we just asked. So if you have F sharp and you're playing Dorian, for those of you guys who know the Dorian mode, what we're going to do is we're going to actually see that it comes from E major. Alright, but we're just starting on the F sharp. So that's F sharp Dorian. Now, I'm not here to teach the modes. That's why I'm just sort of going over this quick because it's just a quiz. If you really want to learn all this stuff, jump to the website for that. Okay, we're almost done. Question 14. Name from root to octave the notes in E Phrygian mode. Okay, so you got to know a little bit about modes for this to make sense. But Phrygian is the third starting point, we'll call it for right now, just to make it easy, of a major scale. So you could work backwards to figure out what it is, like the mother scale. So if you went E Phrygian and you went back a whole step and another whole step, you end up in C major. Okay? So E Phrygian really just contains the notes of C major, which is all natural notes. So let's start on E and play Phrygian mode. I love Phrygian, and has that half step in the beginning. Sounds really cool. A little bit evil too. Okay, so we have E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. Name from root to octave the notes in G Lydian Dominant mode. Now things are getting more interesting. Okay, so if we go to G, and we just play G Lydian, remember you have to know your modes a little bit for this to work. You get this. I love Lydian. It always sounds like Joe Satriani to me. Whenever he's doing his crazy legato stuff in Lydian, sounds great. Okay, so we're going to actually flat the 7 though. We're going to create a G Lydian Dominant. Hear the difference? So regular G Lydian, G Lydian Dominant. It's got a very interesting sound to it. Okay, so what are the notes? G, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F, G. The next question piggybacks off the last question. The G Lydian Dominant mode is the 4th mode of what scale? This one could be a little tricky. We're talking melodic minors now. So now things are getting a little bit more complex. If you're not familiar with the melodic minor scale, I like to think of it as just a major scale with a flatted third. So we get D, E, flatted third right there. Very interesting sounding. Okay, so that's the answer. It's actually the 4th note. If you start on the 4th note of that D melodic minor scale and kept climbing up, you would end up with G Lydian Dominant. So here's the G, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F, G. All right, once again, the answers were kind of already stated before, but what are the 3 types of minor scales? So we have natural minor. Great sound, used all over the place. You have harmonic minor, and that's where you raise the 7th. It's a great sound. And then we had the one we just talked about, melodic minor, where, remember, everything's like a major scale except that third is a minor third. Oh, the questions just keep piggybacking off each other. Okay, excluding the octave, how many notes do a D major scale and a D melodic minor scale have in common? I keep giving away the answers. I love it when tests do that, though, when you're in school. Remember, we're not talking the octave now, and I told you before that a D melodic minor would be just like a D major, except for that flatted third. So the answer would be 6. So if you took just a regular D major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes, not including the octave, remember. How many of those notes are the same as the melodic minor? Well, it's going to be 6. 1, 2, not this one, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, last question. You guys ready? Hopefully you've gotten a lot of these right. But if you haven't, now you kind of know how to figure them out, which is good. Name from root to octave the notes in the C whole tone scale. If you don't know whole tone scale, it sounds very bizarre. It's going to have a whole step between each note. So all the intervals are going to be a whole step apart. That sound great? Okay, let's name them. C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp. Then we start over. C, D, E, and so on. Very magical sounding too. All right, everyone, be honest. How did you do? Leave it in the comments, and we're going to look at the next few levels down the road, but I wanted to start you off with level 1. And trust me, this isn't level 1 stuff. There are some questions in here that are more like level 2, level 3 stuff, but it's a good way to really tell your brain that there's more out there than just the very, very basics. I did a video recently where I said this is the least you should know, and I taught a bunch of like playing techniques, and that's true at one level, okay? But when you start to get to the higher levels, you're going to want to start to incorporate a little more deep things. Sometimes you don't need to, depending on the kind of music you're playing or your goals in guitar. But there's a whole world out there once you look through the window and look through the looking glass, and you can really find some great stuff. You just have to know it exists. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully that was fun, and we'll catch you soon. Bye.